If any of the folks that dialed in, I know 909, your line should still be open. If any of the folks that dialed in have questions or comments that they want to get in, your lines, well, at least 909, your line is open. And if the folks that are on the free HD line, if you have a question or comment, you can press *6 and I can get your line. 909, did you have a question or comment?
Can I be heard? Can I be heard?
Yes, sir. I was muted. We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that justice really shines when you have white people as guests. Her questions just brought out. I've listened to the program, the C.O.W.S, with friends and family members, and justice seems to at times justice was the most misunderstood, and was most I guess a bit like irritating to them that were confused. They didn't understand like why she was asking the questions that she was asking, and I just think that just even with my reaction to her, I felt a little bit strange because of how I wasn't as articulate as I would have liked, but I don't think that black people really understand that you have white people that are totally like are racist white supremacists, but they pretend like they're not. I was almost choking on, my words and whatnot, because I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, why? When Justice asked her the question and she hemmed and hawed and, I'm feeling uncomfortable, and when I'm like, what? The first thing I thought of is that white people lie. White people lie. Like, Like, what's the big deal? Everybody knows this. Like, that's a no-brainer. That's a slam dunk, easy answer conversation. And for her, and her reaction was just it was just so strange. And I think that it didn't really throw me off, but it kind of pissed me off a little bit. But I'm thinking that black people aren't ready for that. That's very confusing. I think that we don't understand that they're like the best actors. You know what I'm saying? I don't. It's just. I think it made me mad because I know she's around, black people, and she even said that she talks to black people. She likes talking to black people, and it just seems to me like confusion is lethal. People around me are dropping like flies. You know what I'm saying? Just on their confusion, and they are literally dropping like flies because they just don't understand. And it's like I said, Justice. She asked, you asked great questions, and I felt like I got kind of emotional. I kind of feel like I need to apologize, but it's just sick. So many things that was coming through my head. Margaret Sanger, her name popped in my head while I was listening to her. Hannibal Lecter, and at the same time, I'm kind of, I'm fighting a little bit within myself, saying no, not, that's a little too harsh. This white person. She's not, Margaret Sanger, she's not Hannibal, but really she is. So I'm thinking if I'm going through that, and it's, I could just imagine what, like, a more confused black person, trying to understand the system. She's not helping at all. I wish, I don't know. I would like to get some of your feedback on it, Gus, because I might be going overboard.
Let me make sure I get that out first and foremost. I totally agree about her not helping at all. Make sure I'll say that 3 or 4 times. I totally agree about her not helping at all. Talking about Julie Landsman, particularly being around a lot of non-white people who are confused. And we got that John Brown syndrome. We're looking for that, white person who's going to be nice to us, who's going to acknowledge racism. I totally agree. Not helpful. I think someone, female listener, she said that was the worst guest ever. She said, I'm paraphrasing, but she was just saying that she really could not understand what she was saying. Like she just couldn't get the constructive value of what she was saying. So I totally agree there. And I think what happens in terms of justice, I think she asked really solid questions that, at least for people, if you're not confused, I'll say it this way. If you're not confused, I think it makes it real clear that these white people are not interested in practicing justice at all. Like that one, if you just take a snippet, that one question where she asked about suggestions, things you would recommend non-white people keep in mind. And I mean, gosh, I don't know. That's such a good, and she even said, that's a good question. What should, and she said, well, are you saying I should ask white people? And then she acted like she was confused about the question, like she wasn't clear. And then she came back, white people lie. White people are racist. That's 2 easy ones. She said she's 67. Easy response. If you're a white person, really anybody, if you've been doing this work and you have any sort of understanding about white supremacy, easy layups. White people lie a lot. White people are racist. Keep that in mind. Simple. Doesn't take 5 seconds to get that out. Be suspicious. And she couldn't even do that. So I totally agree. And I think one of the things that she did, you were thinking of Margaret Sanger and Hannibal Lecter. And then you thought, wait a minute, that's too intense. Maybe I'm wrong. I think white people, like when she kept mentioning like the Klan, and she mentioned like really crude racists, right? Like white people that they're not refined at all. When you mention those white people, when you're talking about racism, white supremacy, I think it creates confusion for non-white people, because then you think, racist Klan member. Margaret Sanger, like what you're saying, the really crude, vile example of racist man and racist woman. You don't think Julie Landsman, Timothy Wise, just the regular white person that's next door, that's not in the Klan, that would probably say, that's crazy, that would probably speak against the Klan. You don't think of them. And those are the people who are integral to maintaining racism, white supremacy. Those are the people who are most refined. Those are the people who really are able to exert racism, white supremacy in the most powerful way, not only because people don't think of them as racist white supremacists, but the people who are refined, they're going to be the people that are in charge. It's not going to be the Klan members that are in charge, that are running the show with regards to schools and governments, that are really dictating what's going to happen in different areas of people activity. It's going to be that white man or the white woman who has a nice suit on, nice dress on, or some jeans, will talk bad about the Klan. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I can't believe we still have, these idiot racist white people in 2011. I voted for President Obama. They got their sticker on. Those are the white people who are going to do major damage in maintaining this system. And a primary reason is because you don't think of them as racist. You don't want to think of them as the Margaret Sanger and the Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter is probably one of the best examples, because Hannibal Lecter is cool. He's a psychiatrist. He's cool. He's educated. You have to be around him a while until it's, oh my God, this guy's crazy. And that's kind of the way it is with white people. I think Julie Landsman and these folks, they can do an excellent job of confusing you. They can do a wonderful job of acting and pretending that they're not racist, and you will buy into it. They got a lot of words. They're informed. They can quote W.E.B. Du Bois and Malcolm X and blah, blah, blah. And, they've read all the material, even Mr. Fuller sometimes. They can do the most damage, and I think it's really important, if you're a victim, don't think racist, don't think Klan, don't think neo-Nazi, just think white equals racist. Those are synonyms. If it's a white person, I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what they're talking about. If it's a white person, I should be thinking this is a racist. And I shouldn't be surprised when they do something racist. I was thinking when she did all that, my blood pressure didn't go up a point. Just made a note. That's something that I want to make sure that I point out. I think this is conscious racism, her not being truthful. Shouldn't be surprised about that. You should expect that from white people. In fact, I'm surprised when they don't do that. I'm surprised when they actually give up some truthful information and, go ahead and say what's accurate, that you should be suspicious. So, yeah, I totally, I agree completely. I think what you said makes perfect sense. And I think her presentation creates that doubt where you want to second guess yourself and think, wait a minute, Margaret Sanger, that's too crazy. I don't want to think that. I think the way that they present and giving examples of racists as the Klan and neo-Nazis and that sort of thing, I think it sets non-white people up to have that confusion in mind. So yeah, what you say, it makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not confused about it at all. I mean, white people equals racism, white supremacy. Yeah, and I'm glad you were saying that one of the listeners, were saying the same thing, that, and I think that I think it's not that I was thinking that. I think that non-white people wouldn't make those associations. Like, how could you listen to her and think, of Margaret Sanger or one of the most illest racists to ever exist? I mean, that's just how she came off to me, like a very dangerous, just very. And another thing it just felt like it was conscious. So to me, that's like more sinister, because on the one hand, like when I mentioned Manchurian Candidate, I think that is confusion, that because it popped into my head. Like, is this a Manchurian Candidate? Like, do she not know, how damaging she is? And then I was like, no, this is conscious. There's no way that this cannot be conscious. And I don't think that we're willing to go there, as often as we should. Now, everything she said, and at the end of the day, for you to come out at the end of that and say she was consciously practicing racism, I think that is not something that black people would automatically go to. Like, this, she was consciously practicing racism. Like, so basically everything she just was saying right there, man, was her enjoyment. She's enjoying the system. I just don't see black people really going there, man. I mean, I think if we were willing to go there, like these Timothy Wises and whatnot, they're enjoying the system. Like, she was talking about the white privilege conference and saying that these white people that write these books and whatnot, they're getting some type of benefits from that within the system, and it just seems like yes. Because you confusing. You're not the Klan. You're not the overt. You know what I'm saying? You one of the deadliest tools to the races. Like, they're applauding you. They're urging you on. Like, yeah, go, confuse them. You know what I'm saying? Talk crazy to them. They don't know. Yeah, go over there. I mean, when you send a white person into your church or into your organization or anything, that's like putting poison in your ice cream or your sherbet or whatever. I don't recommend eating no ice cream, but whatever. You're it's just, man. That's the conclusion I came up. Like, that's why she just seems so like, I hope people don't get offended by my terminology, but just so evil, is that it just seemed that had to be, that's conscious. She ain't giving up. She's not giving up her role and her titles or whatever, this little game she's playing. She ain't giving that up for nobody. It's fun. It's fun confusing black people. It's fun being around them, watching them fawn over you and whatnot. Man, what a life.
She said so in that clip. I'm gonna play it again just because the first time I heard it, I thought this was most revolting. And it's quick. It's just I think it goes right to what you're saying. This is her sound clip talking about her enjoyment of being around confused victims and how much they care for her. And just to echo what you were saying, it's definitely enjoyable, but this is incredibly beneficial to maintaining white supremacy. Incredibly beneficial. It gives you, I'll say that after the clip. This is a quick clip where she's talking about black people and their affection and care for her, Julie Landsman.
What do you enjoy the most about the African American community?
Their acceptance of me, immediate, and not without a wait-see period. There are certain assumptions made about me as a human being, that I'm a human being with needs and can make mistakes. I think one of the things, and I was just reading recently that African Americans teachers have said recently, is white people simply cannot stand the fact that mistakes are made, that we have a disagreement, and that we'll just go on the next day. They want it all settled, they want it all made comfortable, and everybody to basically forget what happened. And what I love about being with African American people over my life is they have called me on things, but they have also been absolutely present when I need them for support.
Please welcome Julie Landsman.
And there are a few people in my life, my immediate family and certain friends who are like that in my white life. But there is no feeling of that kind of got your back loyalty after I have formed relationships with people in the white community for me. And it feels much more like really a component of my relationships with African Americans.
That is amazing. In a system of white terrorism, black people got your back loyalty, where a white person can say that they get that feeling from black people that they don't even get from other white people. That is amazing. Like, when I heard that, wow, if you just wanted in your face the gravity of the problem that we're dealing with, man.
I was thinking the same thing while you were playing it originally, that this is revolting. Like, this is noxious. This is creating some nauseous. It was just, I was listening, I was like, this is sick. This is sick. If you were to codify that language she said, when she said black people's acceptance, you replace acceptance with confusion, and then she said something like without a wait and see. That's like saying, without using logic, you know what I'm saying? Without a wait and see, like, they don't use logic. And then when she said they call me on things, that's saying they give me information to help me refine my racism. That's the code, deciphered of what she was saying.
Absolutely.
For the first time ever, listening to the C.O.W.S, I was thinking, just listening to her, I was thinking that I could do an interview or something, because like none of that stuff was getting past me at all. I never thought of myself, not saying that I'm going to start interviewing people, but listening to her, I was like, I was just catching all of that that deception she was bringing. Like she didn't like it didn't fool me at all, and I was just thinking like, wow. And you know when you came back and I don't know if you were taking notes or you just so used to it, but everything like you know things that I was thinking, you ended up bringing it up, you know, and I think that for black people that listen to the cows, hopefully they start recognizing some of these patterns with these races, man, because you know confusion is indeed lethal, and you know and don't second guess yourself. Like I wasn't really second guessing myself, but I was just kind of putting myself in the shoes of a confused victim, and you know more confused victim, and yeah, if you get those feelings like those feelings, you know, talking, they like she said, white people don't think about racism.
That's absurd. I mean,
Why? Yeah, that's absurd. They and then that's absurd. It's absurd. How could you even say that? She didn't even concede to the absurdity of it in the end. I don't like that's absurd. Like you kept saying like that's absurd. Like that's consciously practicing racism. Like that's something that how could you even say with a straight face? I mean, anybody that's ever been on a job, ever been around any white people at all, it's all in a dialogue constantly. They joking about it. Everything that they say, the things that they say is all, you know, racist. It's all around race, and racist. It's all race. It's all race. It's all. So what? Come on. I mean, I hope black people just realize that that's absurd. So I mean, that's got to be on purpose. Like, don't this person like they call me on things. Nah, that call you on things. So what? We supposed to say, oh, you're being racist? Like she know. She knows. She just. I guess it's like, oh, are they gonna catch me on that? Or man. These white people ain't no joke at all. I mean, white equals racism. It's just the way that they playing us, man. Is just man. I can see how they enjoying it because it's absurd. So I mean, you would get some enjoyment of just saying something totally absurd and people not catching it. Like I just said something totally just false. You know, I got the congregation saying amen to some straight foolishness. Man, what a system.
yeah.
I hope he learned, and I think the Cows is doing an excellent job, man. Because yeah, like I said, for the first time, I was thinking like, man, I'm catching. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she wasn't that refined, I guess, but at the same time, she just seems very dangerous. And some of the stuff she was saying, I think the Cows are doing a good job, and I hope people are getting this stuff, man. I hope they are recognizing these patterns with these white people, man, and not cutting them no slack. Like, they're. I mean, I've seen people with like red, black, and green, banners on the YouTube with Tim Wise on there.
Oh man, that's sad. Mm.
Yeah, so I just hope people start to understand. Like, yes, Hannibal Lecter, Margaret Sanger is that one little organizing white person, that one white person at your school or at your job that's talking about, that's down at the, man, them people, man, are all white people, all of them, babies, grandparents, all of them, man, are like deadly. I don't know how to say it. I guess
I will tell you one thing though. I think because I had see this in myself. I think all victims are afflicted with this. Uh, a hesitancy in wanting to call white people on their foolishness. And I mean, a huge part of that is the power dynamic. I mean, white people, they can put a hurting on you for, calling them out and telling them that they're practicing racism, or you just said something that's absurd. But really try to fight that off. I've seen it in myself. In fact, this reminded me a lot of the White Privilege Conference. She's been at the White Privilege Conference. Anybody who has not been to the White Privilege Conference, you can take this program, Judy Landsman, and multiply it by about 1,000, because it would be about 100 white people at the conference actually presenting, and then about 1,000 other white people who are just there as participants, just going around all day long and doing this sort of performance. All day long. White privilege this, and she did the conflation, she brought in the gay thing. I mean, if you can just imagine like a week of that, and then you're in a hotel, so you're around these people all day long. That's the White Privilege Conference. Like them just saying blatantly absurd things, untrue things, just going on all day long. The founder, black male in a sexual relationship with an admitted racist. I mean, it just reminded me a lot of the White Privilege Conference. But yeah, that white people, I think they get away with it because of our victimization. We just don't call them out on it. And the confusion. I think for a lot of non-white people, we've just been so beaten down. If you get a white person to admit that there is racism, I know for myself when I used to be confused, that would be enough. Like, that white person would already, John Brown has been resurrected, right? Like we really would not be critically evaluating what that person is saying. And okay, you admitting this racism, duh, next. Like our mind doesn't work that way. I think when we're still going through a lot of that confusion, and it still happens to me. So I know for people who are more confused or who don't really study racism, white supremacy seriously, I know it's probably worse for them. So yeah, I would just say again, these folks are very dangerous. If it's a white person, you might have that. It's probably the little white chip being active. If they say something crazy and you don't want to challenge them, they say something that just doesn't make logical sense and you don't want to challenge them. Or if they're talking and a non-white person does challenge them on something and you get mad at that non-white person, that's your white chip working. Really watch that. Really just try to evaluate. What is that person saying? Does it make sense? And if a non-white person challenges them on something, don't hop on that non-white person. Just sit quietly, evaluate what's being said. Does it make sense? Because 9 times out of 10, if it's a white person, you're going to be able to find a lot of holes in what they're saying when they're talking about racism, white supremacy. I mean, mega holes. Just for a white person to be able to come and say that white people don't think about racism, and for that to go unchecked, for nobody to say, hey, wait a minute, that is just blatantly false. You are saying something that's totally not true. For that to happen, that is what Dr. Cambon said about us getting waxed. Because that happens all the time. White people say that, it doesn't get checked. Even you'll have non-white people co-sign on that. That's what getting waxed looks like. When people can present you with total logical fallacies, totally false information, and it does not get challenged, it does not get questioned, it gets accepted without a peep. That is what getting waxed looks like.
I totally agree. I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to say. Like, that's pitiful. That's some pitiful thing. And then, like, when she said that the black person, I think she said a black female said, it's just that white people don't talk about race. And you were saying, I mean, she didn't correct her or say, no, that's not true. I mean, I could just see whoever that person was, that black person or non-white person that told her that, and she didn't offer no, constructive, instructions on that lie right there. And like, what is she? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't know what they thinking. If that's all that you say, it's like you don't know what they be thinking about. Don't think that you know what they thinking. So yeah, you said it well. Like that's what getting waxed looks like. This is this is a super beat down.
Unfortunate. It's not funny. It's not funny because I'm definitely on the getting waxed team, and I do not like it. It's not fun. And we've been getting waxed for a long time, in my opinion. It's definitely not fun to come out and lose every time and get embarrassed. So hopefully we can, correct this so that we'll have less of this. And hopefully we'll get to the point where white people will not be able to do this, where white people will not be able to publish books and do lectures and make money talking about racism, white supremacy, or if they are doing it, they'll only be able to talk to white people. And I don't think Timothy and the gang will be nearly as effective if they are not functional, they're not able to go and be confusing when they talk to non-white people. I think that's going to drive the whole push for so-called white anti-racists way down if it gets to where non-white people are just not confused, they're not drinking the Kool-Aid, we already know what's up. Or if you do come, man, we are going to be listening intently and waiting for you to say some foolishness so we can call you out as a racist white supremacist and keep rolling. Like, I think that will greatly diminish the number of white people who want to hop in that field and say they're anti-racist and do their books and lectures and all that foolishness. More non-white people being less confused, big time help. Big time help.
Yes, sir. Thank you for thank you for the program and you and Justice, man. This was a good example. I mean, I think Justice said something about how does she practice racism, and just for her to say that she's so comfortable, living her life, and she expects to be her. White people are so comfortable. They just chilling. They just come to your neighborhood, knock on your door. You looking like, what? What the heck? Like, just, what do you do? And just comfortable. They looking at you like, what you mean? What am I doing here? It's like, you in the black neighborhood, like, how are you comfortable being here? You in a black Latino neighborhood, so-called, why are you just skipping around here, knocking on doors and whatnot? And people getting murdered. She ain't worried about getting murdered. She's marching for the black on black crime. I mean, and then she said she don't understand why that's not a big issue. I just don't understand why black people aren't, they're not doing anything about it. She said that she's got to, get up out of her bed, as a white woman, and go help these black people stop killing each other, and she just don't understand why she got to do it. Black people not doing it. I mean, wow, what a insult. I mean, that's just a straight. That's just amazing. That she said, I just don't know why that. I just don't know what's going on. Oh man, that is cold. I mean, that's clowning right there.
Yep, absolutely. And she knows this. Like, I think there was a portion where, I think it was when I was explaining the John Brown syndrome, where non-white people, see her or Timothy or whoever, and just, oh my gosh, yay, Jesus has returned. This is the greatest white person. And she said, oh yeah, I know. She knows. Like, I'm never, when I'm, trying to point these things out on the program, I'm never doing it for the white person. I'm doing it for non-white people who are listening. She admitted, I already know this. I knew it before you knew it. I mean, that's really the approach that I take. They already know this. I'm not here trying to, inform any of these white guests. She understands what's happening on all sides of the chessboard. She has a very clear understanding. As you said, she's here to clown and practice racism. Like, I don't want that to be missed. That is a key aspect of practicing white supremacy, to keep victims confused about what's happening, to keep victims confused about how white people are able to pretend that they're not racist, even though they are. That is a major aspect of how this system operates. I don't want that to be lost. But I mean, that is clowning. I mean, it's embarrassing when it gets to that point where you can be doing this, practicing racism all the while, just saying totally foolish things, and the non-white people soak that up and think you're great. It's embarrassing and it's deadly. Oh, and the same listener who commented before, she said that this is a direct quote, that white female is the big, I don't think she was talking about Miss Landsman individually. I think she was talking about white females in general. That white female is the biggest Trojan horse on the planet. Black people need to stop sleeping on and with her. I could not agree more. Thank you for the comment. Outstanding observation, and I will just echo that. You cannot ignore that white woman. That happens. I see that all the time. If it's a white woman, particularly if they're younger, deadly. Deadly. I would be ringing my cowbell. You cannot leave out white women when you talk about the system of white supremacy. I think we talked about this yesterday. I hope it's been drilled in. You cannot minimize the damage that white women inflict in this system. Again, I would assert you're not looking at patriarchy, you're looking at matriarchy. If you want to talk about deception, hands down, white woman, the most deceptive organism in the known universe. Hands down. This system is primarily run by deception. Nobody has white women beat on deception. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep. I mean, she brought up the patriarchy. I mean, she went through the whole gambit. Jewish, patriarchy, gay, conflation. I mean, she pulled out all the tricks. Yeah, wow. Very deadly. And that comment that the listener said is absolute. Stop sleeping on these white. Stop sleeping with and sleeping on these white females. Oh my God! Please, please, please! You cannot do it. You can't do it. You cannot do it. You cannot sleep with these white females. I don't care what you think you understand and what it is, what it ain't. Don't do it. That's a no-no. Men, the females and the males. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. I mean, especially I think that white female she's super deadly, man. Like she said, white women will the white person will start crying, and all the attention they get to her or get to them, whoever it is, it's like the black, with all this homosexuality and all this stuff, the white male pull the crying out too. Like he started he can use it too now. I mean, to get the same reaction, he can start crying. So yeah, that's what they do. I mean, that's all they gotta do. They start crying. Black male wanna you made her cry. You can't be making no woman cry. You can't be making no woman cry. Oh no, that's just. I mean, I've seen it before, and I'm sure you've seen it before. I mean, and these white females, that's one of their tricks, and they'll start crying to get you to sleep with them. I mean, I have sex with them. I mean, I've seen that done. And I mean, as far as testimony and whatnot. She started crying because I didn't like her or whatever. Going to school, whatever. Man, she is super deadly, and we don't. That should be in the forefront of your mind. Like if you put notes up or little reminders and stuff like that, you gotta make sure that that's a part of your conversation, and it needs to be, in the forefront of your mind. Like, this ain't no patriarchy. This is racism, white supremacy, and the white male and the white female are putting in work.
Overtime. Overtime.
You know what I'm saying? Putting in work. That white female is no joke. That needs to be in the. We need to bring that up because somebody's saying, "Oh man, this white female." They was talking about a white female and how, she had her little swimsuit on and stuff, and gallivanting around, you know the small swimsuit, like a what's her name, Amber Rose type of thing, you know what I'm saying? And how sexy she was, you know, and this and that. And nobody really said nothing. I had to say, like, man, no, I just had to say that the white female, that I ain't looking at her like as no type of sexual creature, nothing. Like that's ill. That ain't happening. Like she's not a sexual creature for no non-white person. That's a no-no. Like even to think about her in that way is lethal. Why you think she ain't got on no clothes in the first place, and she around a bunch of non-white people? That's just man. So yeah, if I hadn't have spoke up on it, man, I mean, I think that would have flown on past. That you know, the white female is sexy in her thong or whatever, man. Man, no, heck no, man. I think that black males ain't ready to give that up. They think they can be anti-racist and still get them some easy white girls and stuff. Man, that's crazy. That's mentally that's mental illness on a high level. Like you putting yourself in a serious confused state with that whole thing right there. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep with these white females. You write that down and put that on your bathroom mirror.
Absolutely. Make that a quote. Put that on a T-shirt. Whatever. I think we should all have that in the forefront of our mind. I'll see 909 if you have anything you want to close out with. Get your closing comment in mind. Get it prepared. I'll let folks know. Dr. Anthony Browder, he'll be on the program this Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Dr. Anthony Browder, he'll be Planet of the Apes. He said that was one thing he wanted to touch on. I was definitely interested in that, as well as how racist men and racist women are using newspaper outlets, just news in general, to manipulate and refine the practice of white supremacy. But he'll be here this Sunday, October 23rd, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. That's the next scheduled program. Should be lots of stuff coming up over the week. I think this is 491, so we're 9 away from 500. Should be the return of Dr. Kamal Kamban. Very much looking forward to that. If you want to support Invest in Justice's counter-racist effort, her blog address, justdojustice.blogspot.com. One more time, justdojustice.blogspot.com. And you can check out all of her blog work as well. Sunday we'll be back. The programs are on iTunes. I already gave the directions of that. If you get confused, let me know. I can clear that up, but it should be easy to find. Anything else? I'll echo, and then if you have your closing comment, I will echo about the white females. And I'm glad you did. I think that is incredibly constructive. Let people know. If you're around black people and they're confused, and they're talking about they want to be sexually involved with a white person or anything like that, anything that looks like it's encouraging sexual sewering of victims, say something about that. Speak up. I'm not saying you got to jump. In fact, I would encourage, don't jump on them. No good stupid. Don't do that. But definitely make it known that that is incorrect and that's something that you do not support, encourage, or participate in. I think that is incredibly constructive. We used to, and I mean black people, we used to do that. We used to check one another about that sort of thing. Somehow that got lost, and we don't do that as much anymore. We should get back to doing that and letting people know that that is not acceptable. I think that would have an immensely constructive impact. I know Non-Mighty Wick, he was talking about he had a non-white person that he knows texted him or sent him a photo hugged up with a white person. And hey, that is not cool. I'm not interested in seeing that sort of thing. I do not want to expose that to any other non-white people that I'm around. I don't think it's constructive, and I would prefer that you not send me that. And it had a very constructive impact. The person stepped back and thought about it. Oh, okay, wait a minute, my bad, sorry about that. More of that should be going on. Again, he didn't name call, he didn't get an attitude with the person, but just let it be known that is not constructive. You do not support it. You do not encourage it. You do not participate in it. Let that be known. More of us should be verbalizing that. I think it would be extremely helpful. Get back on the ball. And the white women, do not sleep on and or with them. They are extremely dangerous. And I'll less there. 909, anything you want to share before we wrap up?
Thank you. I just was remembering someone asked, like, what are the main questions that you should ask a potential mate or something like that. Now, I was thinking about that, and really, it's I just reminded of what Dr. Wilson said. She says, like, mental health. She was like, who are you? Where are you? And what time is it? I think those are important. I think those should be, revisited often, with yourself, because I think that will now Mighty Wig was talking about, being calibrated. I think those questions will recalibrate you, like, what time is it? It's time to get free. Where are you? You're in a system of racism, white supremacy, plantation, slavery. Who are you? At this point, as a non-white person, speaking for myself, it's like I'm a slave. I'm totally dependent on racist white supremacists. So, I mean, what time is it? It's time to get free right now. It's time to, this slavery is not a good look. It's not cute. It's not fun. It's disgusting. Like, it's just those three questions. Get them together and act accordingly.
Amen. Right on. Let's get this problem solved as soon as possible. I'll say it just because I don't think it can be said enough under current conditions. Beware of that white woman. Do not sleep on and or with white women anywhere in the known universe. Regard them as extraordinarily dangerous, if not lethal. Context of White Supremacy. We'll be back this Sunday. Dr. Anthony Browder, October 23rd, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Context of White Supremacy, signing out. Thanks, everybody.